Millennials, entitled to great leadership. Are they? I mean, not the leadership part, but are they entitled?
You're right.
As a matter of fact, it may sound like we're all starting to engage in what my nephew calls millennial bashing. He says it's an activity that his in-laws love to engage in. However, what have we said about every generation in its youth as it entered the workplace? Well, let's go all the way back to the silent generation. How did they get the title the silent generation? Probably came from a quote in Time magazine that said, "The youth of today are sitting idly by, waiting for the hand of fate to fall on their shoulder while saying nothing. The most outrageous fact is their utter silence." Or how about the baby boom generation, the generation that was responsible for outrageous medical discoveries, completely off the charts technology, and huge economic growth? Well, we were expected to do nothing more than drop out, turn on, and tune in. Yeah, baby. Or the X generation, the first generation we sent home from school with a key around their neck so that they could let themselves in because they were children of two working class parents. Tom Wolfe said that that generation had remade, remodeled, and elevated itself and was gazing, glorifying, and setting to a priority me. Wow. Seems like maybe we've bashed every generation as they come along into the workplace. Is it perhaps time to look, instead of bashing millennials, into leading millennials into the workplace? Millennials will now be the #1 generation, and by that I mean they will exceed the boomers by over 1 million population. They will also be #1 in education. More millennials will graduate with a secondary degree, bachelor's and above, than any previous generation. However, 48% of them are employed in jobs that do not require a college education. They are considered to be one of our most entrepreneurial generations. Millennials are also extremely philanthropic. 81% of millennials have already donated their time, goods and services, or money to a charitable endeavor. As a matter of fact, they say that business success should be measured by more than profit. I think all workers want to be engaged, empowered, and valued in the workplace. That's not generational. That's a fundamental issue in the workplace. However, I think millennials will lead that charge and that change. I think a blended approach will be one of our best approaches to educational systems in our workplace. Would it surprise you to know that the #1 request of millennials in the workplace is access to coaching and mentoring? Yeah. Well, is it any surprise? Millennials from their youth have been involved in groups with varying ages and experiences. Summer camps, travel organizations, charitable organizations. They have learned how to use the wisdom and experience of those that went before them to advance their own learning process. But developing a mentoring program can have its challenges. You need to develop a system and plan and a way to match mentors and candidates. So here are 3 suggestions for developing a successful mentoring program. #1, make sure that you have a system in place to determine the goals you want to achieve. #2, be diligent about pairing a mentor and their candidate. And number 3, evaluate your program for success. Not just you, but the mentor and the candidate as well should always be striving to have a more successful mentoring program. Now, coaching is a completely different thing. Millennials seem to need coaching. It seems to be a desired way for them to learn. Now, I think all generations like coaching, but millennials thrive in the coaching environment. It is important to know that coaching is not a one-size-fits-all. Coaching needs to be customized to the candidate. Also remember that your coach needs to know a few really important things. They need to know that their job is to make sure their candidate never loses their confidence. Their job is to give a little bit of information and require the candidate to have a lot of practice. They should be using technology tools to plan, track, and communicate in their coaching environment. And they should engage and empathize with their candidate, but they should never sympathize. Is a millennial impatient? Sometimes driven? Are they less likely to engage in menial tasks? Are they entitled? Perhaps. But they love diversity and philanthropic activities. They're extremely tech savvy, and they are diligent about education and their desire to learn. Let's choose to stop bashing our millennials and lead them into not only their success, but our success in the workplace.